All right, so let's get started. We're going to be doing a lot of pigeons today. So having a block or maybe two, I have, so you can see there, the two different size blocks, maybe a blanket. And we are going to start lying down just flat on the floor. Though, there we go. Of course, you can stick a block under some body part for a few moments if you like. All right, so here we are coming on to our mat. Oh, now that I said that, I think I'm actually going to go for a little block under the shoulders as we start. And so arriving here on your mat, maybe supported by a block, maybe just resting on the floor. In whatever position you want the legs, they can be extended, Baddha Konasana, maybe bent knees with the knees falling in toward each other. Somewhere where you feel fairly easeful. And you can take a big inhale and a nice long exhale out the mouth. Maybe another breath like that. Letting go of the rest of the day. Just arriving here in your body on your mat. And turning your attention to your breath. Feeling that inhale and exhale. And then allowing that breath to get a little deeper, a little longer. A little smoother. And notice anything you need to notice. Anything that's calling for your attention, but we don't need to go looking for something to notice. And then if you are on a block somewhere, removing that block, and we will bend those knees. And let's figure four. We'll cross the right leg over, making that big triangle. Take a moment, pressing the right outer knee away, maybe using your hand there. Keeping that back of the pelvis anchored, a little bit of engagement through the core to keep the pelvis level. So there's like sort of a counter push from the right knee away and the left hip into the floor. And then reaching through the triangle, hands behind the left leg or around the knee, pulling that in. Big inhale and exhale, letting gravity do as much of the work as possible. Keeping that wave of the breath going. And then one more breath here. And we will set the left foot down and pull that right thigh into the chest, and we'll flex the left foot, sliding that left leg out to straight, stretching down the front of the left thigh. Stretching down the back of the left leg out the heel. And then setting the right foot down on the floor, bring that left leg up into the figure four, crossing it over, pressing that left outer knee away, keeping the right hip especially anchored down, back of the pelvis level on the floor. And we'll take a few breaths here. A little active engagement from the core onto the floor. So we're making that outer hip area, sort of outer back hip near the sitting bone work here as we press that left knee. And then reaching through the triangle, pulling that in. And now we're stretching that same spot that we were just engaging. Keeping that wave of the breath going. And one more deep breath here. And we will set that right foot down, pull the left thigh into the chest, flex the right foot, slide that right leg out to straight, pressing through the heel, pouring down the front of the thigh, reaching down the back of the leg. Using that breath to settle a little more into this shape, to deepen the stretch a little more, to deepen your awareness and focus a little more. And then we will set that left foot down, bend the right leg in, pulling both knees into the chest, maybe rounding up knees to the nose. And a couple rolling like balls, or whatever works for your spine at this moment. And then we will finish sitting, maybe after another couple of folds. All right, and then here we will be in Sukhasana, the crossed legs. Using the arms alongside and lengthening up, getting space between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets. And then slowly release with the arms. And letting the hands rest on the knees, pouring down the tops of the shoulders. Strong spine lengthening up. And with every breath, subtly adjusting the vertebrae, stacking those bones one on top of another. And noticing anything that you notice. Maybe it's just an observation of friendly curiosity about what's going on. Maybe it's something that you are wanting to shift or change over the next hour or so. Maybe it's something that feels really good that you want to bring in and enhance your practice. And let's reach wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Breathing those arms up overhead, and we'll do the reaches here. Reaching down through the sitting bone as we lengthen up one side and the other. So going on your own timing. Inhale and exhale with as much flatten and lift through the core as you feel like doing at this moment. And then a few more reaches. And when you finish right and left for yourself, both arms up overhead, and we'll stretch out those hands. And a big wide press down and coming forward, pouring out and over, breathing across the back of the body. And so let's walk our hands to the left diagonal, just for going a different direction to start. So on the left diagonal, we're actually stretching the right side. All right, here we are on the left diagonal, feeling that right sitting bone reaching back and down for the floor. And then right hand on the left knee, twisting open, maybe adjusting your right hand onto the floor if that works better for you. Inhale and exhale, pouring out the front of that left shoulder, out the fingertips, and then a little actively pressing the back of the left arm away. And we'll reach that left arm over the ear, a little twisting side bend, and really engaging with that twist. The belly, the waist, the ribs, the shoulders, maybe the neck and the head. And then a big swoop around with that left arm to the center. Deep breath in the center. And then walking over to the right diagonal. Big long reach along your left side, reaching that left sitting bone into the floor. And left hand on the right knee, twisting open. Maybe adjusting where that left arm and hand is. As we pour out through the front of the right shoulder, a little active press back with the back of the left arm or right arm. And then reaching that right arm over the ear in a little side bending action. And still twisting, really finding that twisting action through the belly, the waist, the ribs, the shoulders, the neck, and the head. And then a big swoop around with that right arm, coming back to the center. Take a little note of what leg you have crossed in front. And then coming up, unfurling that spine vertebrae by vertebrae back up on top of the sitting bones while everything drops into place. Inhale and exhale. And then we are going to come around to downward facing dog. So you come around to downward facing dog. And once you're there walking the dog, anything else you want to do? And not forcing things, just being where you are at this moment. Maybe you're not quite as long and extended as you might wish yet, but here we are in the best downward facing dog we can do at this moment, just breathing. And let's lengthen out to the plank, really pressing back through the heels as you pull the top of the head forward. Feel like you're still stretching those legs, even as we do all that work in the upper body and the core. Breathing here. And then we'll lower ourselves to the floor and do our small cobra. Any means you would like to arrive on the floor. Kneeling lunge, kneeling plank for the undecided or coming along with me. And there we are in the small cobra, really squeezing those elbows in and back, reaching forward through that upper chest. And coming down, lengthening through the top of the head, pulling the elbows and feet back. 2 more small cobras like that. Lift and lengthen to lower. And lift and lengthen. Keeping the arms there, your nose hovering just above the floor. Really reach back through the legs. We're going to reach through that right leg and just lift the right leg up, keeping that leg very straight. Pull the elbows back, reach back through the toes, and then a little tiny bend in that right knee to feel that, and straighten it out again. And reaching the right leg down, and then the left, reaching long, lifting the left leg up, trying to keep it nice and straight, pulling back through the elbows, out that left foot. And then just a little bend in the left leg to feel that the hamstring works a little more. And then straighten the leg out again, really finding that straight. And bringing the left leg down. And then we will peel ourselves back up to downward facing dog, a couple of ripples on the way. And then making those legs really straight, using the muscles. Feel like we're doing that lift of the legs. And coming down, sitting back in child's pose. Coming up, and let's sit with the other leg crossed in front. Back to Sukhasana. Other leg in front, or whichever leg. Finding that lift from the sitting bones here. Let's reach out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips, breathing the arms up, and this time we'll interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, and lengthen up and grounding down. So now we're holding, and we're making two straight lines rather than that flowing stretch and reach we had on the first side. But even in these strong straight lines, feel that little bit of movement, a little more length up the right, a little more length up through the left, a little more lift through the center, and a few more breaths here. And then trying to keep those upper arms squeezing in, slowly release the hands to hold an invisible block overhead. If your block needs to be bigger, your block can be a little bigger. One or two more breaths here. And then a big reach down, pouring forward. And let's do the same thing we did on the first side. So we'll go to the left first again. Walking over to the left diagonal. And right hand on the left knee or on the floor, twisting open. Really pressing back with that left arm. I meant right hand on the left knee. Or maybe I said that right, I don't know. Here we are, pressing open, reaching that left arm over the ear and the twisty side bend. And a big swoop around, pause a moment in the center, deep breath. And then walking the hands over to the right diagonal, reaching long there. And left hand on the right knee or the floor, twisting open, pressing back with the outer right arm. And then reaching that right arm over the ear, a little twisting side bend. And a big swoop around back to the center. Coming up, unfurling that spine vertebrae by vertebrae, back up on top of those sitting bones, taking a breath. And let's come back up in downward facing dog. And maybe you want a little more dog walking or something else, or maybe we're all good. All right, so remembering when we were on our stomach lifting the leg, let's lift the right leg. So go slow, take that right foot off the floor and then start pressing it up. Feeling the work on the back of the leg, feeling the work in the gluteus maximus, feeling the work from the left leg into the floor. And then through to the lunge. Long line, top of the head out that left heel. And then we'll bring the right knee down. And Jayasana. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back, big circle of breath. And reaching around with the arms, namaste into the floor as we straighten our left leg. And stepping back to the plank, any vinyasa you want, including just holding the plank, which is what I will do for the undecided. And then we'll all be in downward facing dog and doing that same simple thing on the left. So remember, we're lifting slowly. Take that left foot off the floor. Try to feel the back of the leg, pulling that left leg up, that reaching through the left foot. And then also the strength of the right leg into the floor, helping to lift the left. And through to the lunge, inhale and exhale. Lengthening that out, top of the head out, the right heel. And then bringing that right knee down and Jayasana, the kneeling lunge. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then just reaching down, straighten up that right leg, stepping back to the plank, any version of the vinyasa, kneeling chaturanga maybe. And then we will all meet up in downward facing dog. And looking between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave back, halfway up. Folding over. And coming up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing the arms down long through the top of the head. And let's come back over. Big inhale up. And exhale, diving over. Concave back, folding over. Let's step back with the left leg so we have the right lunge. And we will come up in the high lunge, or it could be the warrior one. And we'll interlock the fingers behind, rolling those shoulders out, lifting the chest to lift the chin. And bringing the arms back up overhead. Namaste in front. Namaste into the floor. Let's swoop our right leg up behind us into three-legged dog. Feeling as much from the back of the leg as you can, and we'll take a hover plank. Inhale and exhale, knee forward. Inhale to lift, and then through to the lunge. And we'll bring our left knee down and Jayasana, the kneeling lunge. And then twisting to the right, arms parallel to the floor. And we will lift the left arm up, bringing the right hand to the left leg. Keep breathing. And then bringing that right arm back up. Namaste in front into the pigeon. So perhaps using a block or a blanket for this first pigeon. And then here we are, reaching back through the left leg. So if you can reach back and find a little lightness on the front of the left leg, doing that. Or if you've got enough to think about, just reach back through that left leg a little more passively. And let's come forward and over. So you may find that you can lift a little bit more and reach a little more through that left leg once we come forward. And then coming up, and we're going to just roll to the side and come to the giant cootie bug on sort of a diagonal or squaring up however you need to in your space. Reaching inside, holding the ankles or shins, take a lift up. And then we're going to bring those shins up, so hands behind the thighs, maybe on the floor supporting you. Pressing the shins up parallel to the floor into the floating lotus. So my legs are wider than they would be for Navasana, the boat pose. And feeling like you're kneeling on that ceiling, maybe letting go with the hands palms up, the Jian Mudra, tip of the thumb and index finger together, everything floating up. And then setting those feet down onto the floor, sliding them out in as much of a konasana as you can do or as you can fit here. Really feeling that straightening of the legs through the heels. And let's take a little forward bend. Inhaling into the center, exhale, pouring out. And then coming back up, bringing those legs in. So we should be in the vicinity of the front of our mat, coming up onto the feet. Expanding into the forward bend. Deep breath here. Coming up to standing into the front body yawn. Lift a little more. And pressing those arms down, long sides down, center line up. So I'm just going to the other side here. And we will do that on the left. Swooping those arms back up. And guide me over. Concave back, halfway up, folding over. And we will step back with the right leg. So we are in our left lunge and coming up in the high lunge or maybe the warrior one. And then we will interlock the fingers behind, rolling the shoulders out. And lift the chest to lift the chin. All right. And then releasing those hands up overhead. Namaste in front. And namaste into the floor. Let's swoop our left leg up behind us. Three-legged dog. And hover plank knee forward. And swooping that leg up behind you once again. And then through to the lunge. And let's bring our right knee down, coming up in Vinyassana, the kneeling lunge. And twisting to the left, arms parallel to the floor. And then we'll lift the right arm, left hand to the back of the right leg. Big swoop around. One more deep breath here. And then bringing that left arm back up overhead. Namaste in front and into the pigeon on the left. All right, so as we do our cobra action, see if you can get a little reach and lift through that right leg, or maybe just a little awareness. As we inhale up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then coming forward and over. You'll find a little bit more lift and reach through that right leg here when you're forward. And coming up, sitting over onto the left hip, bringing that right leg around into the giant cootie bug, holding on to the ankles or shins inside, taking a few breaths, lifting up. So it's not so hard to get that lift up feeling here with our arms to help pull us up. And then into the floating lotus, trying to come up with something of that lifting feeling. Shins parallel to the floor. So those shins are very active. They're not just kind of hanging out here. Parallel to the floor, pressing from the knee to the top of the foot up to the ceiling, lift through the top of the head. Maybe taking the hands off, palms up, Jiyan Mudra, floating up. And breathing. Somewhere in the middle of all that effort, maybe there's a little floatingness. And then bringing those feet down, sliding those legs out into a Konasana angle pose. It can be a wide one, it can be a narrow one, and we will come forward. Inhaling into the center of the body, exhale, pouring out and coming up. Arrive on those sitting bones for a moment. And then bringing the legs in, expanding into the forward bend at the front of your mat. Taking a few breaths. And then coming up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing those arms down, long through the top of the head. Let's come all the way to namaste this time. Breathing here, samastiti steadiness. And coming over. Big inhale up. And exhale, diving over. Concave back halfway up. Folding over. And then let's jump or step back through a vinyasa or not, downward facing dog. And let's lengthen forward to the plank. And then we'll do one-legged plank, but we're going to lift our left leg. Lifting the left leg, maybe touching the toe to the heel, and really pressing back through both heels and feeling that left leg very straight, working just as hard almost as you're standing right. And then we'll just set the left foot back down to the plank, hinging back to downward facing dog and lift our right leg up. And through to the lunge. And we will come up in the warrior one, grounding that left foot down, coming up. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the back. And then really feel that left outer foot pressing into the floor, your back leg. Make that back leg a little straighter and stronger. Make it a little more challenging to deepen the lunge in the front. And then let's take a circle with the arms. Namaste in front and into the floor, standing splits, whatever that means. And pulling that left leg up. Pouring down as much as you can through the top of the head. Trying to find that muscle work here. And then we'll slowly lower the left leg, touch that left toe to the back of the left heel there. And then pressing the left leg back. And stepping back into the lunge. And we're going to the warrior two. Turn those left toes out 90 degrees. Coming up in the warrior two, the lateral lunge. reaching through the inner thigh, through the knee, and then really try to make that left leg straight back there. It likes to collapse. You might notice when it straightens more, you have to work a little harder to pull into the lunge. And dancing warrior, bringing that right arm up, maybe half binding with the left arm. Is that left leg still straight, or at least straightening? And then into the triangle, hinging over. Now we're straightening up our right leg. And we're also straightening up the left. Inhaling into the center, exhale, radiating out. And coming down, and let's go to our pigeon, bringing that left knee down, walking the right foot across, bringing the right knee down. And as much reach back through that left leg as you can. As we inhale up the front of the body, exhale, pouring down the back. And then coming forward and over. Maybe finding a little more ability to reach through that left leg. And coming up, and this time as we roll over onto our right hip, we're going to swing the left leg around, coming into Matsya and Andrasana with that left leg crossed over the top, long through the top of the head. And we will twist to the left toward the top leg. Inhale, lots of space, exhale, and twist. And then reaching back through that left arm, lifting it up and pressing the back of the left arm away. Pouring out the front of the left shoulder. And then bringing that left arm up and a little side bend, still with a twist, finding a good spot for this for yourself. And a big swoop around with the left arm back to the front. Disentangle the legs, coming up onto the feet into the forward bend. Couple of breaths here. And then concave back, halfway up, folding over, jumping or stepping back, vinyasa or not, downward facing dog. And then maybe coming down in child's pose for a few breaths, or doing another vinyasa. All right, we'll see if I can remember that sequence on the left. All right, downward facing dog. Lengthening forward to the plank. And then we're going to lift our right leg into the one-legged plank. Really make that right leg straight, lift from the back of the leg a little, like it's still your supporting plank leg. And then trying to breathe. And we'll just set that right foot down next to the left. Hinge back up to downward facing dog. Lifting the left leg up. And through to the lunge. Coming up in the warrior number 1. And finding that right leg back there. Can it be a little straighter? So as you're thinking of straightening the right leg, there's also feeling like you're rotating the thigh in a little. It's slightly pulled out here in actual physical space, but pulling that right inner thigh in and back, making that leg as straight as you can, and then maybe working a little harder with the lunging on the left. And we'll take a circle all the way around with the arms. And namaste in front. And then to the standing split, shifting the weight forward and up, reaching through that right leg, lifting it up any amount. Lowering down through the top of the head toward the floor. Really looking for the strength here. And then slowly lowering the right leg to touch the toe to the left heel. And reaching up again with that right leg once more. Stepping back to the lunge, warrior number 2. Rounding that right heel down 90 degrees, coming up in the warrior 2. Make sure that left inner thigh to knee is over the foot. And then making that right leg as straight as you can. It likes to collapse here as well. Drawing up with the thigh, reaching down through the foot. Pulling that lunge on the left a little deeper. And then dancing warrior, maybe with the half binding with that right arm. And then notice, is that right leg still as straight as it can be? And into the triangle, straighten up that left leg, hinging over. Straightening up everything as we breathe. And coming down and into the pigeon, walking that left foot across. Reaching back through the right leg, any amount. Taking a few breaths here in the cobra action. Inhaling up the front, exhale, pouring down the and then coming forward. Maybe finding a little bit more space to reach long through the right leg. And coming up. And we will swing that right leg around into Matsyendrasana with the right leg on top. And then twisting to the right. Inhale, lots of space. Exhale and twist. Reaching back with that right arm, pressing the back of the right arm away, opening up the front of the right shoulder. And then lifting up and a little side bend forward. It's still with a little twisting back, finding kind of a good spot. And a big swoop around back to the front. So as we disentangle those legs here, come to the bent legs with those knees right in front. And this time we'll go for the whole Navasana. All right, so just take a moment holding those legs wherever convenient and lifting. So in Navasana, we're not actually trying to get an arch in the spine in the very traditional form. But you can go ahead and arch now, really looking for that lifting feeling. Can you draw the tailbone and the pubic bone a little toward each other, lifting all the way from that lower belly. All right, and then let's extend the legs. So maybe you're not going to extend far. You can use the hands behind or on the floor. Whoop, as we straighten out the legs. Oh boy. All right, and especially if you're holding on with the hands on the floor, you can really use them to get that lift through the spine as we reach through the heels and breathe, trying to make it all seem as effortless as possible, even to ourselves. We don't need to focus on the effort, focus on the extend and lift. And let's bring those legs down. Baddha Konasana, feet together, knees out to the side, holding on to the ankles or shins and coming forward, a little press down and out with the elbows. Inhaling into the center, exhale, pouring over. And then coming up, arriving on those sitting bones. Bring the legs in. And let's come up onto our feet, expanding into the forward bend. Couple deep breaths here. And let's step back with the left leg. We can come up in the high lunge or the warrior number 1. And then twisting to the right, parallel arms to the floor. And reaching the left arm up, the right arm for the back of the leg. And even if you're making a lot of effort here, find a little bit of that flow and ease in there if you can. And then windmilling down to the floor, stepping back to the plank. And let's go through the vinyasa and pause in upward facing dog. Either on the knees or with the toes tucked under or on tops of the feet, wherever your up dog comes. Really reach through the legs. Hold as much weight hold as much weight as you can through the legs. So if your knees are touching down, of course there's a little bend in the knees, but you can still reach through the legs there. And then we will hinge up to downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths here. Looking between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave, back halfway up. Holding over. Deep breath. Stepping back with the right leg into the lunge on the left, coming up in the high lunge or the warrior 1. And twisting to the left, arms parallel to the floor. And then we'll lift the right arm up, left hand to the back of the right leg. Feeling that swirling flow, even if it's costing you a fair amount of effort to be here. And then just a windmill into the floor, stepping back to the plank, vinyasa to upward facing dog. And holding that upward facing dog, feeling those backs of the legs work. And then we'll hinge ourselves up to downward facing dog. 3 deep breaths here. Coming down, sitting back in child's pose. Pull those abdominal muscles up into the spine, maybe a little cat back child's pose for a few breaths. And then let it go, a little more surrendering to gravity. And then coming up, unfurling that spine. And let's go to either Gomukhasana, the cow face pose, or the crossed legs, or anything else. So we're going to be doing the eagle pose arms. And that's sort of what we want to think about perhaps a little more. All right. So wherever we are from Gomukhasana, we have the right leg on top. Maybe if you're cross-legged, you have the right leg in front. Or you could do the Matsyendrasana position too, standing there on your right foot. All right, take a moment, lengthening through the top of the head, long and spacious spine. And then reaching wide with the arms, doing that press back for another moment. And then right arm under, holding the shoulders. You can stay here, or wrapping those lower arms. And exhale. And then release the arms, changing the cross of the legs. Finding that long and spacious spine. And reaching out wide through the arms, pressing back. Left arm crosses under, holding the shoulders and or wrapping the lower arms. And here we are, back to focusing on our breath. Hopefully we've been doing some focusing on our breath throughout class, but a little simpler to do it. And unfurling those arms, disentangling the legs, and we will make our way to Shavasana. Coming down, considering is there anything else you need or want to do? Wherever we are, we're breathing deeply, letting gravity help us as much as possible. Inhale and exhale, looking for that feeling of surrender, letting things be enough. Just resting in the wave of the breath. And then breathing back into your body. Moving of the fingers and toes, maybe circling the wrists and ankles. Stretching the arms up overhead. Bending the knees. And making your way gently up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with that long and spacious spine. Taking a few more moments, sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming.